Okay, so I'm calling the meeting to order. We have 3 members present, which is a quorum. Consider the minutes of the previous meeting. You sent them out. Thank you, Don.
Move to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
All those in favor? They're approved. Thank you very much. You get to know what we're into, and we get to know what you're doing. We try to see where you fit into the ordinance and the legalities and everything. We just, figure it out together.
Correct.
I see us as being the go-betweens between the applicant and the town, in the sense that you cut a tree down, they're going to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're kind of the people who allow a get-together. We have a public hearing. People come and say, how many trees are they cutting down? Oh, no, they're going to cut down Hector, my favorite. And try to make it work, however that is. And we're just interested in making sure the ordinances apply.
Right.
And that's it.
We're definitely not trying to put, a square in a circle here, I think. We're just trying to, you guys are a good fit for us, and if it fits for you, then great, and we can make it work.
And you can have them too. I have talked to a would-be competitor of yours in Leamington. There's a guy with a disc golf course.
Yeah, over at Woodland Valley.
Yeah.
Excellent course. One of the best. Actually.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Superb.
He's in my turning club. He bakes the cookies.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Bakes great cookies.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I think he cooks it in the kitchen over there.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. They're super good.
So, kind of tell us what the project is.
Sure. So, we're looking at purchasing this land across the street.
Yep.
And we'd like to convert that land, the 60 acres over there. We'd like to convert it into a disc golf course.
Okay.
And outside recreation. And it has enough land over there for us to do. Like to put a store up to sell items that are corresponding to disc golf. So
sure.
Baskets and bags and discs and that sort for the game.
Yep.
With that, we'd like to have a small convenience store, if you would, to be able to sell out of a walk-in cooler some beer, Gatorade, water, soda, and snacks. So that would be our first initial setup. And then once we got the courses built, we would like to put in like a class 3 restaurant, I think they would call it, where it's just beer and wine and food. So,
only one night.
And that's, yes, exactly right. And so it's kind of a captive audience. I've been playing disc golf for about 1.5 years now.
Sure.
Where my employees all play and have been doing it for 25 years. Now I'm looking for, I heard you guys talking about retirement. I'm looking for a way to step back from that. I also heard the other gentleman talk about labor issues to relate somewhat. So we're looking to downsize that particular business, still keep the land and value in Westbrook, keep the business in Westbrook, but smaller, easier to run.
Great.
Okay. Great. So we have a big volume of tree work, right? We work for all municipalities and the government and everybody you could ever imagine as our customer.
You're doing what I would think of as high-end. You're around houses and buildings.
That's a higher, yes. We work for City of South Portland, commercial plumbing as well. We don't want to do that anymore. 25 years of doing that. So I don't want to do that. So in trying to
refer you to our road crew.
Yeah. I got a lot of experience. I got more experience in it than I want.
Yeah.
So in doing all of these things, I'm like, okay, I got to do something that's easier, something more fun that you change one business for the other, and it's really a lifestyle change.
Sure.
So we'll still keep the tree company, but maybe we don't have to run 14 trucks, we can run. I filled that permit out because, just to give you some background and history,
Yep.
or information,
Yep.
rather than anything else. I know that we have to close on the property to fill out the formal permit and then pay the permit fees, correct?
Right.
So we just wanted to give you a little something about who we are, what we do, what we're looking at, the piece of land across the street.
No, we know the piece of land across the street.
What's that?
We know the piece of land across.
Oh, you do, yeah. Well, because of the, solar fields on the left.
Yeah, and then the guy out front who has the 2 or 3 acres.
The small house here on the.
Yeah, so
Yep.
he's a bit of a legend. He's not here, okay. And he used the, CMP telephone poles to determine where the property was, and they had changed the numbering, so he actually built, 800 yards, 900 yards up 113 on somebody else's property. And the gentleman who owns the property now, what's his name?
Jim McDonald.
Jim McDonald.
Jamie McDonald.
Was kind enough to, work with the gentleman to give him, to sell him the property.
Interesting story.
And then, he bought it, he sold it, and then the guy built another house on the right property down the road, so.
My blood pressure just jumped up.
Well, but it might not have.
Yeah.
So,
It was a fun day.
So we would need, a lot more information from you about your building, what you're gonna build.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So we're in the process of figuring that out, right? So
Okay.
we don't know what size, right? And we know it's gonna be a metal building, and
Mhm.
preferably cheapest way for us to do that. I work with Shaw Earthworks down the street.
Yep,
I do a lot of work with Brad and Brian, and, I'm gonna have them come out and do the footprints for me and stuff as far as the earthwork. But,
now, or you?
at the same time, you know, we'll put it all together at the same time. Because if we can tie the buildings together, obviously it'd be cheaper, right?
Yep,
So we could have the restaurant on one side and pro shop on the other side, just do a longer or bigger,
door in between to get the customers.
you know, yeah, right. So it would work, you know, that's kind of our thought, is try to group it together. And we just gotta figure out costs and what that is.
Because then, okay, so then you are, you're in a holding pattern. from my point of
Until we
view.
close.
From my point of view.
That's correct.
Because the next step would be, you know, I'd wanna see your building, where it is on the lot, where's your
Correct.
parking, where's your driveway, did you get a curb cut from the DEP?
Correct.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, gee, it's nice to have met you.
Yeah, we're just here to see if, you would be acceptance to the disc golf and the restaurant and the pro shop.
What could be the problem?
Yeah, I think the different parts of it have different issues, and the golf part seems to be really low impact. You
Correct.
know, into the facility, across traffic, because it's so, people fly through there, so.
Right, so we looked at that, we looked at the, you know, on the survey, it's 710 feet of road frontage. The first thing that we would do is cut that sideline, you know, so that's my background.
Yeah.
So, we'd cut the sideline so that you would have very good visibility coming in and out.
Yeah.
As well as possibly putting,
Is how much are you trying to pull people in just for the restaurant? Because it doesn't seem like the golf traffic would support the restaurant in and of itself, so, and I'm not asking the question, just more observing. So to the extent that you're trying to pull people to the property to go to the store independent of the golf, and then to the extent you're trying to pull people to come to the restaurant independent of the golf, then that's where we start to get, you know, more questions about, hours, you know, how long are you gonna be open? You're gonna do things like, bans outside.
A lot of choice of restaurants to go to
Exactly.
involved.
Yeah,
So
correct.
if we hear there's a restaurant, you know, we will show up.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Just
so
like some of the golf courses have, you know, almost all the golf courses have restaurants.
that's correct.
And people go to the restaurant independent.
Right.
I'm not a golfer, but I've been to multiple golf course restaurants because usually it's kind of fun to watch people
That's right.
connect and
Right.
all around.
Great
So,
juice too, yeah.
so I would think you get some additional, it's just a question, and it's a question you have to answer, it's not for us, but
Sure.
how much are you trying to bring other people in? Because that's gonna be impactful in terms of parking, your hours, you know,
Right.
that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea, it's just, you know, you just have to think of the implications. And
Sure.
our job is just to make sure that the neighbors, even though he built in the wrong place,
Imagine.
you know, that his or her, environment is not totally affected. It's gonna be affected, but not like too negatively affected
Correct.
by your use, you know?
Yeah, so, as far as like the restaurant, I don't really know because you don't have a lot of, population here, right? So to pull from, I think, how many people in Baldwin?
1,500.
15, okay. So you're looking at, in the general vicinity between Steep Falls and Baldwin, faithful, loyal people that keep your restaurant open if you're trying to pull from that group.
Yeah,
It's more of a captive audience, where you have league nights every, you know, Thursday, Friday. We'd be open 4 days a week. Try for brunch on Saturday, Sunday. There's no brunch places here. Also captive audience, so when you're doing leagues and tournaments, you can get a couple hundred people there from the campgrounds. I think it's about 29 campgrounds within a 30-minute drive here. For July 4th weekend, as it rained out all weekend, these people need a place to go.
Yep.
So we would draw from those people as well, right? So how much that restaurant, I mean, we're not looking at building a restaurant that people are gonna be like, hey, we're gonna go to this restaurant over here because it's our primary.
yeah, no, I get it.
So,
I think you'll be surprised though. I mean,
yeah,
there's-
well,
you have to go to Cornish,
right, you had Krista's and Cornish, right?
yeah,
And then you had, the seafood place out there as well, right?
yeah.
Oh, Bayhaven.
Bayhaven, yeah, so which is great, I've gone to both of those places, so, we don't really know, and we didn't really think about what we're gonna draw from the local crowd, more from the summertime campgrounds, pull, right, and then from the lake region, the pull setup like we would have, they would play both courses, they'd be there for 3 hours. After you play and walk and hike for 3 hours, you're thirsty, you're hungry, you got a captive audience. You know, they may wanna buy the new disc that came out, or a new bag, rain jacket, or an umbrella, or a raincoat. So having the, campgrounds in this area, right? And, I did look at that, so I know everybody in that whole community.
I'm joking with you.
And, so I think Wallace was trying to buy that, I did look at that property, they wanted 1.5 million.
Yeah,
And, I talked with my neighbor, had coffee, and she goes, why don't you buy that? And I said, well, you know, the whole thing, she goes, yeah, it's gonna be back up for sale, and Snyder owns it. I might get it for 800,000, but I just as soon get out of that area and move out here.
yeah.
You know what I mean, to be honest.
There's a big controversy about the property across the street from them. They were gonna do a container facility essentially. So
Yeah.
people were freaking out, it was fine, it was a whole thing.
The funny thing is, my neighbor mentioned that they were gonna drive through my lot to get to Rand Road.
Ah, that's
So all my
awesome.
neighbors called me out, and they said, what are you doing, letting this guy have permission? I go, Chris never even talked to me, I never even knew him, I don't even know, right?
So I didn't even send this down.
Yeah, that was good. So, if you want a little bit more descriptive to, what we're looking to do, so you got this Tapa restaurant. And if you want a little bit more description of that, I can give it to you, where we have an idea, where we work with all the local breweries, okay? Lines there as a tourist attraction to try Maine beer, promote the Maine beer industry, that would be tied into that Tapa restaurant, where you're not really making entrees, you're making large appetizers, and then you have, a multitude of different local breweries that,
Yeah,
that we
yeah,
would
sounds
offer.
great, sounds great.
So also with that, we would like to have, adjacent with it, a game room area, where you buy, or from your leagues when the people are waiting to go play when it's their turn, they'll have something to do to burn some time to wait an hour or two. So we'd like to add that little game room function to it, with some outside space, pavilion area for cornhole, of course, it's very popular, right? And so we'd add to it. So there's that line. With the disc golf, we have an obstacle course in mind, touristy, industry standard, kind of like looking towards the tourist side of it, but the obstacles that we would create for this putter course, so they're only 100-foot holes, but you're going to see lighthouses that you have to throw into. You're going to have on that particular course, and that's the major draw of this disc golf to any family, because any family can play it. It's like miniature golf, but with a frisbee. And then you have a beginner course, and that beginner course is, again, maybe 200-foot holes where families and people at the campground and local people that have never played the outside proper. We had talked about blazing the property line with a forestry mulcher to make your walk, pedal bike, hike. Winter sports would be cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. To make it for season, we'd open that up to the public so that you guys could have it to use for your residents or anybody in the public. Or the campgrounds, if somebody in the campground family is doing another activity, at least they can come up here. They have a place that they can walk, hike, have years. The coolest thing in my life would be to build an arboretum. And I work with O'Donnell's Nursery and Tommy Esterbrook that owns Esterbrook's, and Jake Pearson owns Pearson Nursery, and all the other big companies. So working out to buy all of their plants at the end of the season and their damaged plants, and then taking the 60 acres and replanting the 60 acres with nursery stock trees that we can put labels out explaining what, and then all the perennials throughout the walk paths, so that as people are hiking and walking on this 2-mile trek, they'll be able to see hostas and daylilies and all the perennials throughout the year. We have all the equipment and the labor to provide this. I've made parks and walkways and trail systems for 25 years in my history. So to have a piece of property to be able to make a small botanical arboretum disc golf course would be the only one that I know of that has that.
Not just the list of all the trees.
Yeah, I think you just, like, sounds like you already have it pretty developed, so.
I do, I really, I didn't want to bore you with the details.
Yeah.
I've given you more than what you're kind of asking for tonight. But as Dawn said, don't fill out the application until you close on the property. I don't think it's a problem. Let's talk to the powers to be. Make sure that you get a preliminary blessing before you go spend $200,000 in buying a piece of land that you can't use. So that's why we're here tonight.
Well, it's great.
As far as like pulling in new business, again, disc golf drivers, disc golf will drive 1 hour. If you take your location and go 30 minutes out, you're on Naples, Causeway, you're at South Portland, you're over as far as Leamington. It's 20 minutes from Woodland Valley, by the way, because I did drive and check. And then you're pulling from North Conway. So if you go 1 hour out, you're Lewiston, Auburn, Freeport, South Portland, Kennebunk, Sanford, North Conway, outer reaches of southern area of North Conway.
Yep.
4 nights. Yeah. The idea on the restaurant is in the walk trail path, like Pineland Farms. Okay, Pineland Farms has their deli, they have their market, they have their walk trails, they have a pro course, they have an intermediate course, very well maintained, landscaped, manicured property. We're going to do the same, right? It has to be manicured, it has to be kept nice. But their market is nice, and they do well. And we're not going to farm it. There was talk about the PFAS, which I did write down, have some notes on. We're not going to farm it. We're not going to have animals on it. We're going to have some disc baskets and golf courses, and we're going to walk on their disc and throw in the snow, and then the ribbon will stick up. I've never got that far. I did play in the wintertime, but I waited for the snow to dissipate. But, they definitely, hardcore guys will play all winter.
You know, something Joe often says is you should go talk to your neighbors. You only have a couple. You know?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'd knock on doors or find out what their numbers are and just give them a call. We find that if you tell them the basics before you walk in here, they're not gonna walk in here, you know, pissed off that you know.
There's only 2 or 3 people on the right, but one of those, parcels is vacant. It's just vacant land, there's no building on it. And there's only 2 houses there.
Yeah,
So,
so
the
there's 2
legend-
houses out of.
The legend and the legend's neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it, right? So that's all it's.
Well, he sold it, so it's not actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't want you to
Former
say,
legend.
oh, hey, man, you're the guy who's.
So, yeah, I don't have any
We're being
problem.
recorded, so I'm always.
Yeah, I don't have any problem doing that. I did do that tax map, and I do have their
Yeah,
information.
just always helps, makes our job easier, so.
Sure, yeah,
That's
anything
cool.
that I can do.
That'll be cool, have you come in. How long do you think it'll take for you to come back with the final?
Tomorrow,
Okay,
I work fast.
okay.
So we'll have you on the agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah, I think that if you want the detail that I just gave you in a bullet format written down, and my brother's a contractor, he's
I
a
need
builder.
different detail,
Yeah.
not the detail you gave us.
Yeah, size and scale is what
Street monument, and then I measured off the other day the 100-foot setback. And it looks like that logging yard would become the restaurant, start place there. And when you're able to do your sightline DOT cut to get your sightline, cut that curvature out of the road, and having 2 entrances and exits there, you're allowed to see the farm. Want to wait till we close on the property?
I wanna wait till you close.
Yeah,
I
okay.
really do.
Yeah.
It makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so instead of coming here the next week or so, I'll just have the paperwork ready. I'll chat with Don.
Yeah,
I'll let him read
keep,
through it.
keep Don informed and,
Yeah, I'll let him read through it, and then when he says it looks good and ready to submit on the day of closing,
yeah,
we should be closed, by, the paperwork's September 18th. So by the 18th of September, we should be in here.
Great.
And then you guys would have your 6 weeks of due diligence. By then, we'll already talk to the neighbors next door, give them the 1, 2, 3 of what we wanna do. And within a couple of weeks, I can have the plan sketched out and so forth.
yep, great, thank you.
We would be interested in doing a lease land stewardship for that, where we'd like 60 acres of it for just disc golf, 2 courses. And continue that walk trail through it and blaze a trail through the center of it for quick access or quick exit, okay? We would do the.
We talked the other day.
Yeah,
Bob Flynn.
yes.
I see all kinds of problems, Bob may not see them, I don't know how you do this in terms of submitting 1 application or 2 applications, probably 2 applications.
This is where I was leading.
Yeah, and I don't know what other, hurdles Bob might know about, but, I don't wanna I wanna get you through the application process.
The first one.
60 acres.
Correct, the first one as well.
And then we'll acknowledge at that time that there may be an expansion
Okay.
next door, but let's do that separately.
And the cemetery and.
Yeah, where that little roadhead comes in to the public road, right?
No,
Well, I don't know there's any
No.
railhead there.
no, that's something else.
That's something else, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Behind here, yeah.
We have a forestry mulcher. It's on a T770 Bobcat. It makes about a 72-inch swath, and it can do 6-inch trees, saplings, and, we made a lot of parks of those. And, then after we do the trail, we wood chip it.
yeah,
Right, and then, again, as we talked the other day, wood chips, natural, tick mitigation, right, without using sprays or chemicals and
Great.
so forth. So we would be very interested in doing that for you.
great.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, that was long-winded.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate you
that
coming
sounds
in.
cool.
Okay. You don't have to, hang
Free to
on.
leave already.
You can stay if you want to.
I just, watch government at work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, we appreciate it. And, I don't have a hard on it, but if you want,
So, Jeremy,
you want me to call you and send it through in regards to the grant, the trail work.
so we have
I don't have a card either, but if you can just
I could draw this out for you.
write it.
an application here.
More stuff.
More stuff. So you're gonna have to educate me because our ordinance says we can't do anything with selling marijuana here in town.
Just retired.
It says you can't do any
Some of
storefronts.
the manage here, I think.
Okay,
So, in the letter that we wrote, it does show the ordinance ability. It says you'll have one spot for a dispensary,
okay,
which is hopefully the spot I'm hoping to take up.
yeah, sure.
And, on the property, it has to be the commercial, village commercial,
Yep.
what the property is in, so
Yep.
we're within the zoning.
Bob, Bob. Yeah, if you guys wanna talk, take it outside. No disrespect, yeah.
No,
We're leaving, we're leaving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, so the property is within the village commercial zone, which is the
Yep.
zone that it says it needs to be into. And I'm not looking to do a storefront, I'm looking to do cultivation with, wholesale to other dispensaries, other caregivers. And the state allows delivery service. So any personal sales that I would be doing would be a delivery service to the people. We're looking to split off.
Near where the solar
Undeveloped
farm
land.
is.
Oh, it's undeveloped.
Yeah.
This is a rough reference.
What was that, Don, I'm sorry?
If you're headed down 113 toward Hiram where that solar farm is, on the
Yeah.
left, it's more or less across.
It's a little bit before that.
It's
so-
before it, but it's in that general area.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I would ask you, David, to tell me is what he's asking for legal? Because this is our ordinance.
This is everything, so everything we think we're able to do, we think we're able to do because of your ordinances.
I get it.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm just, you know, I'm sure you anticipate people might object on
Yeah,
the basis of
absolutely,
it's marijuana.
absolutely, yeah.
I'm anticipating, and I'm saying you and I both wanna have our ducks lined up.
Yeah,
That's all.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's all.
Yeah, and the few ordinances that you have to do with, with the, you know, people showing up, which we're not looking for in the cultivation, because we're just looking for cultivation, maybe a little bit of process that would be doing that stuff, we'd just be supplying the product to them.
Okay, so somebody else is growing?
No, we'd be the growers.
You'd be the wholesaler.
Yeah, and then, so we'd grow, we'd be drying and processing it into a product that could then be turned into other products. So a big thing with medical is Rick Simpson oil, it's the RS.
It's wonderful for
Yeah.
cramps,
Yes, you found it, that's good.
leg cramps, yeah. Okay. So medical cannabis, this whole thing is,
Want it to reek.
Yeah.
I mean,
my son-in-law gave me a dust collection unit, and, it had been used as a bagger
oh,
for marijuana.
yeah, it has
And
to smell.
that smells
It was-
in there.
it was- An amazing first day or two.
Yeah.
You need to clean that out.
Yeah, I did, I cleaned it out, exactly.
How many people are you thinking you're gonna employ?
It wouldn't be more than 10, shouldn't be, unless we really.
Do you two own the property?
We own the property,
Yeah.
Baldwin Black Bear LLC,
Okay,
and the three of us are, working together. So we're going to have, more than one, business entity.
okay,
So, and that's up to the legal, you know, we're trying to do it in such a way, such a fashion that satisfies, everybody's, requirements.
I get it.
So that's,
So on the property, we're looking to split off I think it's the northwest corner, or
Yeah, it says here you're looking to do a subdivision of the lot.
Yeah, so this is the first part.
Would that be part of a conditional use permit?
Yeah, well, what we're hoping to do is just do the warehouse property first, and then we have the architects working on doing the other subdivisions. We've figured out now, and two of them are kind of not usable because of there is a vernal pool on the
So would
property.
you do the subdivision first?
We wanna do the warehouse first, get that up and running, and then the architect is working on that, and he would be coming in to do the subdivision part of it.
That's correct, yeah.
Let's think about that as we go.
Yeah, let's-
along.
Well, that was one of the questions that we were wondering, that would you guys just want the whole subdivision? The reason we would like to just move forward with the warehouse part first and just split off one lot off of it first is because the time that it's taking the architect to draw up these plans and get it is looking at probably next year before.
Available in town.
And at this point, not mention subdivision.
Right,
That's,
So
right.
let me hear from
So
Don.
what we're doing right now, so,
Not to cut in, but it
Yep.
interferes a bit with what you want to do.
yeah,
I know in our discussions, because of the wetlands off of 113, you wanted to use Hall Road for
Yes.
access to the
Yes.
property. I've been researching it, and the answers I have as of noon time or 1 o'clock today was that Hall Road was discontinued several hundred feet before it hits your property. So that's
Okay.
not gonna be an easy thing to get access from there.
okay,
And that may or may not make a difference as far as splitting off a lot, because you're gonna need frontage and access. And I know based on our conversation, that was the most logical way to go, because of 113 and the wetland down there.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be
Yeah.
easy going in that way.
And the abutters, would that be 59 Hall?
That would be across the way from you. I'm not sure exactly. I could look it up for you. But
Right.
yeah, and probably the yellow one on the corner is probably the two that would be the.
But it doesn't come down to the edge of your property. There's a turnaround out there, a couple hundred feet back.
Yeah, it's not clear where Hall Road.
Well, when you look at the town map of the tax maps, which is what I had done, it looks like Hall Road goes all the way through. Accurate in terms of how they're laid out on the
Okay.
survey.
Yep.
But when a road gets discontinued, it's not easy to determine where that is.
Yeah.
I'm in the process, and I will have within the next week exactly where lines are in roads and everything
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Not just for yours, but for a couple that we're working on.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the only
Oh, yeah,
one.
absolutely, absolutely.
But you need to take into consideration, it's not a matter of just
I need the town to say that I can use the property for.
Surprise, surprise,
Yeah.
I've heard this before.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that it's possible for the planning board, I mean, I would ask others to chip in here. I think it's possible for us to write a conditional use permit that doesn't go into effect until and unless you get the state permit.
Yeah, and that's actually how it's written, is that we just need you guys to say, okay, we're working with you, and then the state comes in and says, okay, well, here's your conditional use, and then everything doesn't get finalized until we actually get into the process and actually nail down how the building is built and all that kind of stuff, and we start building the building, and then they give the actual license. It's all conditional up until that point
Sure,
anyway.
and our permit will be conditional too.
Yep, absolutely, yeah, yeah. that's
Not a
all
problem,
fine.
man.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great.
Bob, did you have anything?
Yeah, I think that our marijuana ordinances went into effect in what, 2007? I was working with somebody, David, you might recall.
Yeah, I remember.
And the issue that we had was, we were trying to revise ordinances to meet the state law, and the state law was evolving.
Yeah.
And it came down to a point where we were no longer in sync with the state in our ordinances. And so you need to look at them fairly closely, I think, to see, you know, you could, I left the planning board, but,
And the gentleman lost interest.
I think he did too, yeah.
Yeah,
You what?
he lost interest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what his name was, but.
Who's the lady on the planning board here?
Yeah, Victoria's husband.
Right,
the
yeah.
person now.
And
He has a business now down in,
just a caution.
yep. Well, I think we're just gonna go ahead with the best we can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
He's right, I mean, we do allow one cultivation, one dispensary,
yep,
so, I mean,
so if you want to divide the lot out, you divided the lot out, and as long as you continue to control all the land, maybe it'll work, because if there are problems, you can swap land back and forth again.
Yep.
But, we've seen it happen where the land gets separated out and then, oopsie daisy, we need something. We were only thinking about the warehouse,
Yep.
and we weren't thinking about access.
Which that definitely we'll have to get an answer on before we can move forward on any of that. Cause if we have to pull off at 113, that's gonna take a lot of the land up if it has to be a driveway and it can't be a full road because of the wetlands to go back into that area.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's gonna be definitely an issue that we'll have to work with you guys on and make sure that we're in compliance with all that kind of stuff, so.
yeah.
and you're not 500 feet from.
The whole property is, that's why we were looking to split off the land.
No, just, you're not last time we addressed this, you're not.
No, we're not. Yeah, as soon as the,
Daycare.
yeah, as soon as the property gets split off, the property itself, like the whole property is, but that's why we were looking to split off the property, and once that property is split off, we're not
But I
within the 500
didn't
feet
describe it
of
as
the-
opposite the church.
Yeah,
Right, we were thinking, we would put it to use, in another way.
Sure.
So, single family, two family.
Subdivision for us,
Yeah.
For a lot of towns it's not, but for us, so we're gonna, walk slowly through that subdivision of that size.
yep. And looking at maybe the issue with Hall Road, if we did have to go with a driveway through 113, do you guys do shared driveways a lot in the town?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you're a subdivision, you kinda have to. Right?
Yeah, well, a subdivision would be a road, right? We couldn't do shared driveways.
That's a subdivision.
That would be a subdivision, so it'd only be two properties would be,
If you did two, you're not a subdivision.
so you could
But
do
as
shared.
soon as you do that third one,
As
you're
soon
a
as you do the
subdivision.
third one, we'd have to do a road, so, okay.
And
Just
then-
trying to keep that in mind as a.
We don't like to see curb cuts on state numbered highways.
And there's this
Okay.
rule that you should know.
That
about.
one has,
This,
yeah.
this could impact. You can't have if you're a subdivision, you can't have a driveway onto a numbered road.
Okay,
You can have a access road, but you cannot have a driveway.
yes, yeah.
And you can have one access.
So,
One access road,
so as two properties, you could have a driveway on 113,
yeah,
but as three properties, we couldn't have a driveway, you'd have to turn into a road.
correct.
Okay, yeah.
And you're you're talking about the logging road, that,
I'm not talking about anything.
No,
on
this
land.
just,
No,
something additional.
This is the front. So, I guess the other question, and we're working with the architect on that, is this is the property here. There is technically a road already into the property. I don't know that if that's an actual road or.
There's something that was used as a road.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I don't know if that would be an actual already cut in road to
Does
one
it have a state permit?
Don would know more than we would.
I'm not aware of it, but we can look into it.
Okay,
The state
yeah,
would be able to
this,
tell you
yeah.
that.
Logging roads are a totally different beast
So
than
that
a
could
road.
be, yeah, so that could be like a category 5 road.
Loggers
rather
can
than-
do
yeah.
a lot of stuff that nobody else in the state can.
Yeah.
It's like lobster fishermen out off the coast,
Yep.
There are these traditional businesses that, laws don't, the regular law will say,
Yeah,
And given it's a change of use, the odds are overwhelming the state's gonna require a drive permit or a road permit or whatever you're gonna
Yeah.
need.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for
Guarantee that.
for a cultivation facility, a cannabis cultivation facility, I mean, I think that the smell is, smell is probably the biggest issue.
yes,
There you go, okay, yeah, good point.
But this is a pretty big, this would be a large operation involvement, right? Like this,
In the town, yes.
yeah, like a do we have a 5,000 square foot building involvement?
No, I was just trying to do it, I can't remember how to do square roots.
As far as the state is, it's a small,
Yeah,
entity, but, yes, it's Baldwin, yes, I understand.
Probably needs, some idea of, we're gonna wanna know what's outside the building, like what you're doing outside the building. Any sort of storage, any sort, what's your disposal like, cause you're a bit of an attractive nuisance,
Yeah.
So, I think there's gonna be questions like that.
Yep, and I'm hoping to, doing the inside rooms.
And you said you're not having anybody come to the facility to buy.
No, not a storefront, not at
Yeah,
all, no,
okay.
it would be delivery service and
Wholesale.
wholesale to other dispensaries, other caregivers.
Other licensed entities.
our, one of the conditions we put on permits is that no sign will be more than 20 square feet. You get one sign, 20 square feet. You can paint both sides, but.
Yeah,
one sign,
and
20
that's
square
fine,
feet.
I don't,
Plan.
as far as the whole property is concerned, it's the back part of the property.
Because that's probably more desirable from our point of view.
Oh,
yeah.
A large building.
How does one?
Yeah.
At what point do we prohibit buildings?
40,000 square feet.
40,000 square. We didn't want a Walmart there.
No, we don't want a Walmart.
We don't want that kind of traffic.
As a matter of fact, the space, we're not gonna utilize the whole space to begin with anyway. We'll start with a fraction of the internal space, rather than, build a small building and then come back to you in a few years and say,
No,
let's
that's
build
great.
it.
Add on to the building, yeah.
No, I was thinking, as I said, people in Baldwin don't like change. If they can't see it, they're more likely to be okay with it.
Yeah.
The solar farm that we can see upsets people.
Yeah.
There's a solar farm that people can't see.
They don't care.
No, and I know we wanted to keep like a tree perimeter.
Yeah, we're
We're
not
gonna keep
looking
the
at.
forest around it,
Yeah,
Part
we're
of
not
what
looking to
David
clear
was
cut
saying,
the
I
whole
wanna know
area.
what you wanna do outside the building.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 40,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
It's a little bigger.
probably fence it in, security fence it in, as much things as so
Yeah,
animals
and-
or whatever, just.
That's a requirement anyway.
Yeah,
And part of the process too is the security, I have to get the sheriff out there to oversee look at the security system and approve it before anything could happen anyway,
Okay,
so.
okay.
And also the fire chief comes.
Yeah, absolutely,
Part of the
yeah.
building.
Yeah.
So what's your time horizon? What are your,
we're ready to go as soon as you guys are, as far as, splitting off the property and going, but obviously now that we have that issue, we have a little bit of a hurdle that we're gonna have to, address before we get to it, but.
So we'll need a deed.
Okay.
I don't see a deed. We need a deed. This is, we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, we can file
Okay.
that
We're
later.
gonna talk about. We need a survey, as Don says.
Yep.
And-
Yep. That should be in there too, I don't know.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
But yeah,
Site plan survey, site plan.
yes, I do have all that stuff.
Yep, okay.
That's the warehouse one, I have the terrain one.
Where the warehouse is on the land.
Yeah, with all
face
that.
of the earth.
With the elevations of the land and where we have to fill in for the driveway, but that was based on Hall Road, so
Yep.
that may get changed a little bit from there, but yes, we do, we have a lot of that stuff.
And
Is the town, is the town interested in making Hall a better road, or is
you
that a
have to
no?
talk to the select.
I can tell you the town is not interested in doing road work.
No, if someone is, I mean, I know roads are expensive, don't get me wrong.
In other words, would the town be in favor of improving Hall to the extent that,
If it wasn't their cost.
It costs money.
No, I
We
know.
just had two really horrible storms. One of them is in December that we haven't fixed the roads yet. We haven't
Yeah.
fixed them from the December storm. So you asked if we want to improve Hall Road. We just want Douglas Hill Road passable.
No, I didn't mean out of town's money.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and,
Okay.
and, you need to talk to the selectmen,
Okay.
because that's really their job. We have had situations where businesses have been at the end of a gravel road, and they've worked with the town to improve the road so they could use it. The town's, I talked to, so.
There was at one point, we were 59 Hall up the hill, we wanna get out of Massachusetts, so we were looking at that. For me, with my mother, and I like to have a yard that I can fence in, and to me, it was right up against it, but they really dropped the price on it, but part of it was, we wanted that road to be a better road, so you could, get on it, plow it with a car, and get it there with a car, not just a major truck to get up there during snow and stuff.
Right.
We were already kind of looking at that.
Yeah, talk to them.
Okay.
That's out of our bailiwick.
So you live in a house there?
So they were looking at the property.
Oh, you're looking at it,
Yeah,
but you
there's
didn't buy it?
properties in the back of Hall that were for sale, on and off, that have been.
Yeah, yeah. I live at the other end of Senator Black Road, totally other end,
Yeah.
2 miles away.
Yeah, that's a big loop, the Senator Black
yeah.
Road is, yeah.
Okay, so you need the deed, the survey?
So you kind of have your marching us, and stay in touch with this Don over here,
Yep, absolutely.
and, we get all the documentation, and we'll come back and we'll do this again.
Yep.
And we'll figure out a site walk time and we'll go.
Okay.
So let's, I'll do a motion to conditionally accept their application. I think it somehow puts them in line first, if we conditionally accept their application.
If you want to.
I think we should.
I don't think that, because of the reference to subdivision.
It does have subdivision in there?
It does, in their description.
Sure, is,
Yeah.
the first in, first out.
Yeah.
That's just, the way it works.
Yeah, and not like we've had a bunch of people banging on the door
Yeah.
to do manufacturing or cultivation, so chances are it's not an issue, but I would, and hopefully it will inspire you, if you're gonna start spending more money, the quicker you can get your application complete,
Yeah.
the quicker, I think, you preserve your right to be first in line.
Okay.
So we
It
have
sounds
a
like-
manufacturing facility in town.
Yeah. So it sounds like,
That's an enforcement issue, that's not,
No, they have a conditional use.
especially since Hall Road isn't right out the option, just take the
out.
subdivision out of it.
But as you're doing your planning,
Yeah.
plan ahead for the future.
Okay.
And once they're
Share that
cheap,
with
I
us,
don't think I've seen any-
but I think
Yes,
to
you
make
are.
this application.
you've been here, you're not that much of a new boy.
Yeah, take the
As
subdivision
a
out.
conditional use.
Yes, you were, David.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
You were on.
I don't remember
That's no
that.
problem, huh? Absolutely.
So,
You remember the,
So, we'll ask questions about, what
remember the
Oh, yeah.
termination, that's agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember being,
Jewett-
having that.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping to work closely with you guys as we're doing this too, so.
it's, how do I describe Jewett's Barn to you? If you come from the library, then there's a building on the corner opposite the
Right.
library. And then there's another piece of property, their backyard.
The question, does that qualify as the one that?
As a medical marijuana dispensary?
It's,
It almost would have had to at that point.
So-
What was it called?
so can you find that permit for us?
We'll try to.
I mean, now?
I can say, well, just tell me,
Oh.
what was the name? When was it?
I have no idea. Come on, it was hard enough to dredge that out.
Got it all here on this computer.
I have no idea what the name was.
That would have been like
Solar-
2016 or 17.
Yeah. Give me a second.
I think at the time that was done, that would have had to have been a medical marijuana one.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think we gave him a permit, I think we just said it was agriculture, we don't have to give you a permit.
That's right.
Ballpark?
Want me to go get the book? I can.
I'm looking at the list, and there's nothing here.
No.
It's only a bit of a digression. I think it was before the marijuana ordinance.
It's gonna be on map 1 or something like that, I think.
I remember it because there was a petition that was put together to block it.
Yeah, you listened, you were about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I noticed this before and I haven't got it back up yet. Zoning map, no. No, they don't have the map in lot numbers here. Do we have a book? No.
Our intent is to be as accommodating as possible, you know, to satisfy everybody's.
Well, you'll never
Almost
satisfy
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah.
Almost everybody.
And there's as many people as.
There's a certain, in every community, there's a certain level of philosophical problem with legalization of any drug, and, yeah, so I think there is this kind of, Baldwin has a little bit of a Puritan edge to it,
I can't tell from this.
Yeah, our wholesale does it, anybody else would have a medical card, so.
and keep an eye on that, so when it says the manufacturer, it says 4 caregivers, I don't know what that exactly means, so, that language is, I just haven't spent any time looking at it.
Yeah, these are the things that are changing in the state too, all the time.
But they must have the state license.
So map 1B,
Having a basis for that.
lot 37.
But I don't think there was a permit issued,
I'm very comfortable with
because
it.
I remember the discussion, which was, you don't need one, this is agriculture.
Were they growing hemp and not cannabis?
No, it was cannabis,
Okay.
yeah, there's no permit.
Okay. They probably would do.
And it was before the marijuana ordinance, I think it was
Limited to
before the
one.
state law, maybe, I mean, it was really early. And I think we said, that all they were doing was growing. There was no processing, there was nothing.
True. True.
They were growing and shipping it out.
But even the state may stop that, because I think they're gonna start clamping down on the people that are just kinda growing stuff.
Yeah, well, there's an enforcement issue too.
Yeah,
You can't
well,
go
yeah,
say-
no, right,
But,
on his property or whatever.
Ordinances are,
so I don't think they take up one of the things, because we didn't,
and
whether it's right or wrong, it's a whole other issue. But I think with the marijuana ordinance, we can't just say
3 years ago,
agriculture.
I took a job.
Yeah, okay.
So we're only going for this.
Let's give this back to you then.
So do you need another $150 check? Oh, okay, was that just?
Yep, so, yeah, we'll change that.
We're not shysters.
And
I
then,
worked for lawyers for years, what are you talking about?
yeah, and then, so I believe all the site work plan has been dropped off. I don't know if it was in the packet, but I believe all the site work plan has been dropped off, but we need the deed.
He's got it.
Yeah, I'll be in contact with him to make sure he gets, if he doesn't have it, I'll make sure he has it anyway. And then the deed, you gotta save the deed.
And you just want to write in one color.
Yeah, the whole list.
We'd like to see a picture.
Another
Picture?
color.
Yeah, picture, yeah, okay. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and then we have the full warehouse, like the outside of the warehouse picture, but yeah, I can draw an inside picture of it all, yep. Absolutely.
Or just floor plans, you can see so many square feet of this, and then in this corner, it's gonna be.
And you're okay if I.
You're doing what an architect,
Yeah, and then.
Well, he's taking a while of this, but is it okay if I draw out the inside of it?
We take that.
We're used to that.
Yeah.
Try to do it to scale.
Yeah. I'm a contractor by trade too, so.
All right, so you should be able to do
Yeah.
What's really important is where it is on the land.
Yep, that he should have, if he doesn't, we have it all written up.
And then
Survey.
we talked about
I
that.
can show you what they,
that.
landscape.
The point she was.
Yeah, the drop, and then we have the topographical one.
And you had a survey too, I saw.
Yeah, we have the main big survey. and
This should be shown on the survey.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have that too, that's on the,
It's funny, if we get
so
that,
that property split off from the whole land.
Yeah,
how many drainage actually used by a survey?
Oh, it's way back there.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, so this is 113, that
But
would
it's
be
good
where
to
the
keep in mind, because,
and then,
like,
I wouldn't
this
call
is
it
the
a
least,
subdivision.
at least the road.
yeah, I'm good, yeah.
Fenced
I
off.
gotta, yeah.
Fenced off or whatever you
That's
want
only
to
a
call it.
fifteen
Yeah.
foot wide right of way.
But that's,
So that's a big
Yeah,
issue.
watch out for the wetlands. that's gonna be an issue.
Yeah, we're trying to not
We-
disturb
We
it.
had a survey, originally we had two vernal pools, and the second
Really
survey
not probably
had
something
it
we
down.
can do.
Okay.
Nobody knew where the road started or
It's
stopped.
still a wetland.
Tracy County,
Yeah.
113, you can go this way.
And this is the highest point.
And when it moved 113, around the, the house is intersected with 113.
All is right along there.
And beyond there, it's the 15.
Yeah, which in survey showed that whole road went all the way back there, which is why we thought it did, but, yeah.
My father told me when he was a boy, it was a regular road, you know?
Yeah, really, yeah.
That farm.
Oh, it is.
And then, you know,
So,
you could see it perhaps a little better.
little by little, it's trying to.
There's Paul. And
Maybe
there's farm.
a little
This piece
bit
here is
easier.
this piece here.
Yeah. So
I spent some time with Robin today because she was.
That would be too far, I don't know who it is, but.
Somebody got a camera was signing themselves, and I was my number. And when they put that in, the same.
So who's here?
But they found stuff that they were.
Well, there's
Yeah, Joe,
59
this one has
Hall.
the, property.
Probably somewhere in the system. It sort of splits up and goes, you go up out, okay, 40,
Yeah.
40 acre
Okay.
section land within the house, it's gonna, it's
It's gonna get worse.
Okay, that's, but,
Yeah,
but that is, you know,
it's definitely, it comes right off of here. And it comes up.
and the dirt portion of this, where we talked about that one.
Yeah, it's gravel, so it's gravel until down here, and there's like a
There's only
59.
this little bit
And
right
then
here.
this is all the dirt and you go to church. Yes, yeah.
well, thank you.
On
Trying
the
to make it
deed,
easier.
I think it still has the estate
And I've
deed,
been
I have to see, if I don't know if you guys have updated,
Put off a lot.
I mean, even for even the
Well,
taxes.
it should be,
That way we know.
it just says that you have it.
Yeah, right.
I know, Greg,
I mean,
we don't wanna see, so we
The county does have the deed,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we just, that's something we haven't ever.
Yeah, just, we wanna make sure we're giving us the number.
Yeah.
And we know what property we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's all full off, you know?
you get to go there in person, right, it's not online, you can pull it, you want it certified or whatever.
Online.
Oh, okay, Some do, some don't have it, so you get access to Cumberland, right? I'm pretty sure I have it.
Well, I appreciate you listening to me.
We're here to show up, we listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as much as you get to talk to neighbors,
Look what you got for a lot. If you gotta sell it,
if you explain your story to your neighbors,
If it becomes your story and not the cannabis thing,
Yeah.
if it's a cannabis thing, they may have objections to this. If it's YouTube, yeah, it's hard to have objections when it's human.
Until they get around to checking.
So it's not a faithless enterprise.
Exactly. Now, you're not wearing gang colors, you know, I mean, like,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is.
No, I mean, one of the things, my sister
Strictly a business.
died of cancer, and it actually helped her the last 6 months, she actually eat.
There's a lot of objections.
I personally
Only
understand.
suggestion that you so far has been very much on board.
All right, we good?
Okay,
Is something
thank you very much.
to take back?
Yeah, why don't you just take them, Sarah?
This one,
We don't have multiple applications, like, what is this?
The point of contact is,
if you send it to me, I'll get it to them, or Melissa, or whoever needs to be.
all right, well, thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Sure.
All right, thank you very much for listening.
Excluded.
Thank you for coming in, it's good to
Yes.
meet you guys in person.
Yes, thank you so much for the
You're
information.
more than welcome, and I'll get to you as soon as I know.
You
about it.
leave it?
I'll give it to you, like, in my-
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, with a couple of these other things.
We were driving on it.
I wanted to talk about that too, I don't.
we adjourn.
No, yeah.
If it is non-restricting.
No, one minute.
Compliance is.
We just have one more issue, so.
Mr. Kent,
We're not
Mr. Kent.
Just one more minute, we just have one more minute. Now that you.
I'm the hot seat, Tom.
What did I do now?
What's going on in Livingston Lumber? Are they expanding?
Yes,
They gotta come in. I mean,
I know. Here's what they're doing. They've been telling me that they're going to be, and I'm telling them that they gotta come in before the planning board to get a revisal of the conditional use permit. And they're in the process of doing drawings and all, they're just keeping me in the loop.
okay.
But once they're ready to build and do all of that, they're gonna come in. Part of their plan is, some of that land, they're gonna put up housing units on for people that work there, so they can have affordable housing based on what they pay their workers. Part of it's a new lumber mill, and the state permitting and the town permitting, it's gonna be kind of a lot.
Yeah, and if they put in housing, it's a subdivision, if it's.
Exactly.
so.
Exactly.
Are they gonna put it there or on the right field?
I think the housing is gonna be on the right field.
That's that's,
I'm
my
pretty sure.
direct line to the planing mill says it's going on the right field.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I understood as well.
I just wanted to make it,
So-
I just wanted to say it out loud that I think they have to come in. So if they know
They
they have to come
definitely are.
in,
They've been
that's cool.
told.
Because they've expanded that several times and never come in and asked us.
Well,
They're
they
gonna come in.
they expanded their footprint, but they didn't put up any buildings.
I don't know, when did that far back building get built?
That came through, I think that Norm was still chair, and Wynn came in and said, what do you want me to do? Norm said, oh, you guys are always good, don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay.
Right, that's kind of history with the couple.
Yeah,
Well,
well, I mean, we're at a point now where there's enough stuff there that,
There's a change in how we do business.
yeah.
We're trying to be more
As
responsible.
long as y'all have thought about it, you thought, that's why, I was just getting nervous watching them work on the land and expand and.
I've been watching it like a hawk,
Yeah,
and I've been in contact with them at least once a month since I started that.
okay, cool.
So they know it's gonna take time, they can't just say, our
They do.
architect's drawings are done, we're ready to pour
No,
concrete.
that's not gonna happen, they won't get a permit until it goes the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about how we're doing things at this point, it's a lot easier. And then when you have the conditions that they have to follow, it's like with the campground, I've been able to make sure they did it exactly the way you wanted it. And they've done a first-rate job, and it'll be the same with Robinson Lumber, as far as I'm concerned.
So, the two duplexes on, what is it, Route 11, with the curb cut, are they using that curb cut?
They claim not, but they are when they want to get into the rest of their life.
So,
They have a pole which they roll across there periodically, but sometimes it's open, sometimes not. Berm was put back before they got an occupancy permit. At this point, I don't know, it's gonna be harder to fix. Except down the road, it looks like they're planning to maybe build another unit over there.
he was talking about a third unit.
If he wants to build a third unit, then we can do something about it.
Okay.
It was hard because, I don't know, somebody brought that up when I first came here, and I think it was you. I don't like to use names, but I didn't have any idea because your records were all separate. And the way we're doing it now, when you give a conditional use permit, I have a copy of it. And if that were to say, when you're building those buildings, that has to be closed off before you get an occupancy permit, that's gonna happen if they're not getting a permit from it.
Yeah,
And that's the way to handle it.
yeah, I mean, maybe you can suggest to them that it would be a good idea to build that berm back up and,
I have mentioned it.
yeah.
Before he submits an application,
Right.
rather than after, before. It
And
would
he's
make a good impression on the planning board.
And he's a builder, so I mean, he might be building somewhere else in town, it might not just be there, it might be somewhere
Yeah.
else. And
Exactly.
He's a firefighter is what he is. He's something, isn't he something? He is something, that's true.
That's all I wanted to just add on. I just wanted to make sure somebody was on, thinking, I figured you were, I just.
And the other thing that, the state requires when property is sold, I'm supposed to be given, and they're working on that, the new owner of the property, and I'm supposed to update these files. So I have them all with the current owners on them, not the owners 20 or 30 years ago. And I'm putting in the 911 addresses when I get them, and trying to get all that straightened out.
Wow,
We're gonna
that
get
just
there.
increased your workload a huge amount.
There's a ton of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the end of the day, that's a responsibility.
And how are we gonna know Jewett's Barn if we can't call it Jewett's Barn?
I know. Well, we can put Jewett's Barn, but we gotta have the owner's name, the book and page, and the, 911 number.
Yep.
Because what's happened is, you might have map 3 parcel 45.
Yeah.
They got different permits for septic designs and whatever on there. Well, they're not specific. So which goes with what now that it's been split up? To say nothing of the fact they were never inspected, and I have no clue they were even put in. And people call about this sort of thing. So what I was just saying to him, and I think we're gonna fix that, because I have to be convinced that it's a buildable lot before I give them a permit. And basically, we've been going by if they have a deed, it's good enough kind of thing. I'm saying now, until somebody changes that, they're gonna have a survey. So if they have a survey of the 2-acre lot they're splitting off, then when they do the survey, the septic design, it has to relate to that survey.
Yeah.
And then when the, address, and then when the assessment people come up with a book and page number and all of that
Yeah, I
kind of
can
thing.
see it.
The map and lot number, I'll put that on there.
Yeah.
And until I have all of that, it stays in my desk. And once I have all that information, it goes in the permanent file. So you can check it either by 911 address, the person's name, or the lot number, or whatever. And it's just gonna be a lot easier for people down the road, because a lot of those things, like I found those CUPs that you were missing, that one of them, they were down, they'd fallen down underneath, and I'm kind of putting it a different way, so that won't happen.
I can see somebody taking a 10-acre lot and splitting, at least 8 2-acre lots off it, because they said they were 2 acres.
Right, and that's what happened.
Write a deed out, a 2-acre lot, 2-acre lot, 2-acre lot.
And then you get somebody down the road, which has happened to me, oh, that's not the line, that's what they say is the line, we say it's over here, you've gotta come out and measure it and let us know. Well, I'm not a surveyor, that's not my job, fortunately.
Yeah.
We don't pay for that.
No, you probably don't have enough money to, it's a big
No.
aggravation when neighbors are mad because somebody cut down a birch tree that they like to look at, and they could have bought the land from the town for taxes, but they didn't. And now they can't control it
Not like you're
anymore.
talking about anything in particular.
No. But,
All right.
I'm trying to come up with ways that we won't get into messes like that. And on Al Clark's, I spent a fair amount of time today because apparently he went to register his fleet with the address over there based on the conditional use permit. Well, apparently he gave them the wrong number. And when the gals across the way went to process the registrations, they got kicked out of the system because they didn't have the right 911 address. So we're trying to figure that out. Come to find out, he's putting 3 more buildings in over there. And in order to get the numbers that they need for those buildings, we have to be able to locate them with a GPS. So down the road, it's not like you got a choice of building it in 3 different places. We need to have it on the plan, exactly where they're gonna be, so we can send that information up and.
That makes sense.
Three.
Yeah, one.
An addition and 2 other buildings.
I don't know.
There was a bunch of buildings.
Okay.
And he's gonna have several different businesses there. And one for the auto inspection and truck repair and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of that's licensed through the state,
3 buildings.
of course, and that has to conform with 911.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how we do this without bringing everybody up and changing everything.
Do as much as you can on the applicants, make them do the work. You know, if they
Exactly.
want the benefit, they should do the work.
Well, most people kind of figure that they can, what they want for an address they can have. Or if they have a long driveway, they want their name on it as a road, so they put up a road sign, which we have a couple of in town. And that throws it out of whack if there's a 911 emergency, because they can't find it, because you can't locate the address. And people don't understand a lot of that.
All right, move to adjourn.
So we're working at it, but I will be on top of it.
It's been moved and seconded and all those.
Good work, John.